Hello everyone, this is Shiki. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel and blog. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this interactive flip card with some partial die cutting technique. This is a card design I saw on Instagram the other day, which that person used a die to cut the whole card panel, and that die is retired. So in order to achieve the same result, I did some experiments and measurement to get down this formula that I would like to share with you. The die I'm using today is a 2 3/4 inches diameter circle die, but you can absolutely use any symmetrical shape dies with any sizes. I do have a formula on my blog that works on every different shape and sizes symmetrical dies, so be sure to check it out. Here I have a piece of Neenah Solar White 110 pounds cardstock that I cut down to 8 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. This will result in an A2 size note card. And there are 3 lines you need to mark with your pencil or any erasable pens. The first line I marked in pink gel pen, which is at 3/4 inches. This is half of the difference between the width of your note card and the width of your die. The second line is moved from the first line to the right for half of the width of your die. And then move from the second line to the right, you're gonna mark the quarter of the width of your die, which I'm using a 2 3/4 diameter circle die, so the second line for me is at 2 1/8 inch, and the third line for me is at 2 13/16 inch. I know this seems complicated, but I promise it will all come along later and all make sense. And now we need to do some partial die cutting. You need to line up the left point of your die to the first line, and then line up the top plate of your die cutting machine cutting plate to the second line. And this will make sure it only cuts the left half of your die. And then line up the top cutting plate to the third line to die cut the right quarter of your die. And when the die cutting is done, we need to erase all our pencil lines. I then used the ledge of my paper trimmer to create scoring line on the second and third line, along with the cutting end. And I usually like to use my scoring board when I need to make a scoring line to fold my card, but I find with this precision measurement, it's easier to just use a trimmer. And when you make scoring line, make sure do not score the die cutting area, because we want that part only flip instead of fold. And then we can form our flip card. Along with the first scoring line, we need to fold the paper back. And remember, we don't want to fold the die cut area, because we want that part to flip as we open the card. And then along with the second scoring line to the left, we want to fold the whole panel to the front. I then flip the flap back to reinform the folding lines. And now we need to place the whole panel back in our trimmer folded, and then create another scoring line at 4 1/4 inches. And then fold the right flap to the front. We will result with a A2 size card. And here you can see as you pull the front flap to the left, the die cut area will flip to the back. And now that our card base is ready, we can go ahead and decorate it. I first cut down some mask using the same circle die with some full sticky post-it note. And I then open my card all the way and place the mask that I created onto the front side of the die cutting area now, which will be the back side later when the card is folded. I then use some post-it tape to mask off the inside of the card. For the background, I plan to do some ink blending with some distressed Oxide ink to create a winter snowy scene. I first blend on some Distress Oxide Broken China ink. Towards the middle, I plan to leave the middle the lightest and to the edge the darkest. I then move on to Distress Oxide ink, Salty Ocean, Faded Jeans, and Black Soot. I also go back to the lightest color after I put down the first layer to make sure I overlap the ink enough to achieve a smoother transition between each colors. And I did the same ink blending on the right flap of our card. To create the falling snow, I used this Simon System Falling Snow stencil. I mask off the die cutting area and the inside of my card again, and then place the stencil on top of my ink blended flap. I use some micropore tape to tape down my stencil from moving around. The embossing paste I use today is from Deco Art Dimensional Effect Embossing Paste. And this is the first time I use this embossing paste. I usually use the Ranger Texture Paste, which is a opaque white embossing paste, but I quite like this one. This one dries to a semi-transparent white look, which reminds me of a very cold winter snowy morning. And because it's not super bright white, it don't look quite busy in the background, which I really like. Because of the other flap is on the other side of the card panel, I let this side dry and then did the same thing on the other flap. Now we're done with the background, let's move on to embellish our card. The stamp and die set I'm using today is Fawn Christmas Like No Other. This is a limited edition design that's a collaboration between Fawn and Simon Stamp for STAMPtember 2017. Well, this was a limited edition design and it was sold out. However, Fawn and Simon Stamp brought up another one that's a smash up design for all the collaboration that they did over the last few years. So if you like this design, make sure to check it out before it's gone again. To do the stamping, I'm using my mini Misty stamping tool today so I can stamp a whole bunch of images at once. And because I will do some Copic marker coloring, I'm using a Copic marker friendly ink, which is the hybrid black ink from My Favorite Things. I'm not a Copic marker coloring expert or anything, so I'm not gonna show the process of my coloring here. All I did is some simple shading with 3 colors markers of each color family. And if you want to know the exact Copic markers that I use, I will list it down below in the description box or over at my blog. If you really want to learn details on Copic marker coloring, I highly recommend you check out Debbie Hughes, Kathy Rakusin, and Christina Warner's video. They're all very skillful at Copic marker coloring. So after I color and die cut all the images, I'm gonna use some tape runner and foam tape to put down all the pieces to create some dimension. So this will be the front flip of the die cutted circle shape. I decorated with a seaweed wreath with a bow and stars and shells, along with the 2 otters holding hand image. So this will be the front when the card is closed, and then when we open it, it will flick to the back. And at the back, I put down the 2 otters holding hand wearing some Santa hats. For the sentiment, I stamped the We Wish You a Merry Christmas from the Fawn Frosty Fairy Friends on the inside of the right flap. And here's the finished card in action. You open the left flap to make the circle flip to the back and open the right flap to reveal the sentiment. The card I saw on Instagram, she decorated the circle with some family pictures, which I think is a perfect idea for some holiday cards too. If you like this idea, be sure to check out my blog for a formula that will apply on different shape and size styles too. Thank you so much for watching me today. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up, subscribe my channel for more card making tutorials, and also head over to my blog for more information. I hope you give this interactive flip card design a try, and until next time, happy crafting! Bye!